Hello again, it's Lock Noob, and what we have here is actually a disc detainer lock. This is a Rosengrens from Sweden 32A 81S safety deposit box lock, and this is the key. And yeah, I mean, it looks a bit like a lever lock key, but actually it's an 8 disc disc detainer with some anti-pick return bars on the inside which run sort of parallel down the keyway. The keyway will turn to about 90 degrees, but it won't actually, if you look at the back, it's not actually operating the actuator, which is this bit. Let me just show you what happens when I put the key in and turn it past that 90 degrees. Hopefully you'll see that this sidebar here, which is engaged at the top, once the discs rotate all the way around to that position there, can you see the sidebar drops into the gates? It's only a very subtle drop there, see? Maybe moves about a millimeter, maybe 2 down, and then it can rotate all the way around. So just by moving the front of the lock, yeah, you can see those 2 return bars. And what they're doing when you do that is, when I turn the lock like that, they turn the discs to a certain position, which makes it very, very hard to pick the discs up from underneath. I can only really show you that once I take this apart a bit later, but it is worth watching through to the end to see how this operates. It's a pretty cool lock. Every disc has false gates on it, multiple as it happens. And yeah, it's quite a hard lock. I spent a number of hours with this, but I have finally got it open. But I had to make my own tool. And I made it out of this. Well, this actually came with some lever lock picks that I had made. It's just a turning knob, some 17 SWG piano wire. That's it. Really is it. And a very carefully filed tip, which has to be just right because you have very, very limited room to pick up the very last step of these stepped discs. They're stepped because that sort of indicates their bitting and how much the key will rotate it. But yeah, it's a very precise, it doesn't look like it, but very precise filing to pick that up. Why have I got a bit of Lock Noob sticker on there? Well, sometimes when you're doing disc detainer picking or lever lock picking, you're just turning a wire. Because it's round and all you see is that, you might not actually see anything happening. It's only if I put something on there as a little flag and indicator that you might see what's actually happening, how much I'm rotating it. It's only an indicator, it's not very accurate, but I mean, it's just to show the audience how roughly it's turning. It's not exactly aligned to the tip, is it? But that doesn't matter. It's about it being visual. If you like it, let me know. And then the only bit of indicator I've got are these, probably quite badly marked. They're not evenly spaced, they should be, which is just some notches I carved with a file on the side to indicate whether I'm on the disc, because you've got to be so accurate in terms of your disc pick placement, especially because it's not a 2-in-1, so you don't have that luxury of, you know, being able to adjust it. You're really just holding it with your finger and then trying to feel for the discs. Probably made my life more difficult in some ways by just using a single wire and a turning tool. But making a 2-in-1, I just didn't really have the time and resources to be able to do that. But you know, if you do, then I would heartily recommend picking this lock using a 2-in-1 tool or a professionally made tool, because this is like infinitely harder. Right, let's crack on with it then. See you on the other side. So here we are. So smooth, this lock, very smooth in operation. There's that key. Can pop the tool in gently, not too far into the lock. Tension from the front, and it seems to bind from the front back, so we're going to pick it front back. Although strong feedback at the front of the lock, and then less so as you go along. So I think we're on disc 2. Good, 2. Nice click. Let's try 3. It's binding a little bit. 1. Lovely click. there. Okay, 4 now. Nice click again. Lovely click there. So really nice feedback from those discs. 5. Lovely. 6 now. Subtle feedback, so I'm going to slow turning this, okay. I'm going to leave that there, okay. Let's try 7, if I get onto disc 7. The feedback is subtle on these last 2 discs. Although, that's got a nice sound to it. I'm going to leave it there. Whatever that position is, it liked to settle there, so I'm going to leave it. Go on to 8. And do the same. Hear that? It just clicked in. Goes to disc 1 now. See, it starts at the beginning. If it's not getting anywhere, we go back to the beginning and... Oh, my goodness, look at that. And open. So it was disc 1 holding us back all that time. Did you hear that lovely feedback all the way through as well? So lovely. Yeah, just so cool, so cool. It's very subtle. The tension is absolutely everything. And you do lose on this lock the feedback from about disc 6 to 8, although I don't know, I must have got the true gates really nicely centered, because I actually felt some of those clicks on disc 7 and 8 at the back of this amazing lock, and that's fully opened, so very cool. You can't turn it back too far because it will lock back up, but that is absolutely awesome. Right, before something weird happens with my camera and I run out of I don't know, trying to think what's the word I'm looking for, memory or something weird bound to happen on a super hard lock like this. Oh, and you might be thinking, well, that looked really easy. No, I would say that there's a good 5 hours, 6 hours of practice if I added it all up together. It's a huge amount of time for one lock. And you might be thinking, who would spend that much time on one lock? I'll be like, well, that's sort of lock sport for you, isn't it? You know, you can spend weeks on a lock because they are just difficult. So what can we see here straight away? So here is the sidebar, and we can pull that out. And normally that actually is in this position. You can see there's a slight slant here, and that's where when you tension it, that slant pushes the sidebar down. So let me just turn that all the way back if I can. There we go, to that position there. And you can see that that's where the sidebar would normally sit. If I take it out, you can see all the gates all the way down. Let's move that light in a little bit more for you. Maybe you can see that's there, yeah, like that. So there are the true gates all the way down. This little disc thing here, I don't know what that is. I'm assuming it's just some kind of washer. So I'll just take that out. And then here you've got the rear tensioning disc, and that attaches to these anti-pick sort of idlers. Why are they anti-pick? Well, let me show you what happens when you turn it all the way back and then turn it all the way forwards. The original ones of these had these little round posts, and they were a lot easier to get a pick down through. But if you look here, when I turn this one of these discs all the way back round, these push bars, reset bars, idlers, whatever you want to call them, you see how I've only got that much space to get the tip up to that position of the disc and turn it like that. That's all I've got, and it's because of these let's call them return bars for now, because when you turn the lock, you've literally only got that much space, so you've really got to push up against there and get into the disc pack like this. Very, very restrictive, and it took me a while to shape the tool to just go from the center, if I flip it over like that, up to the that bottom step of the discs. So then it goes like a spacer. I'll put it down there, and then the disc, and we'll have a look at those discs. They're really cool. Spacer, discs. Every single one of these has false gates as well, and they are pretty good false gates as well. They're not simple. The only thing I would say is that the true gate, once you've practiced enough, you can feel for it. If you've got the tension just right, and probably to a large degree your muscle memory, you can just about, you see I've actually numbered them because I just don't want to have to deal with this not working out. I'll put that tension disc here. So yeah, you'll see the front tension disc in a second. So come here, you. This is 4. For 3, 2. Come here. 2, please, there, 2, and finally the first one. And then you have this repeating bit at the front. Get out. There you go. You got this repeating bit at the front. Can you see? You got that like a spacer, a washer. I don't know what to call this bit. It doesn't seem to have a function other than to add a little bit of spacing, or act as a washer. I think I need to get a hook on this. Come on, get out. I'll just pull the whole thing out. There you go. And you can see how it's just the opposite of the other one. You've got another front tensioner. That's why I think this tensions quite well from front to back, because when you're tensioning from here, you're going to put a little bit of, it's not going to just go very smoothly all the way around, it's going to put a tiny bit of skew on, because you're going to be ever so slightly using the tolerances at your advantage to put a tiny bit of skew on this return bar tensioner idler assembly thing, and that will allow you to tension from the front, and it sort of forces the front discs first. That's why it's a lot harder to set the rear discs, at least I find that. I don't know how you'd have to smooth the tension out to get the discs to tension differently, I think. I don't know, maybe I'm just lucky it tensions front to back, I don't know. But yeah, let's have a look at some of these discs. You probably can't see them very well if I lift them up, but I'll do that anyway. And let's have a look at some of these. So there are, I think, 4 different types of disc. Here is one, of course, it's like that. So you've got, on this one, you've got false gate, true gate. On this one, so again, you remember I'm picking from this position, it goes false gate, true gate. So they're the same. 7, so it'd be here, it goes false gate, true gate. Then if you over pick it, then you got false gate over here. 5 is a nice false gate, true gate, then false gate, and then if you really over pick that, then you really mess up. And I've heard that you can somehow get your pick tip, so when it's picked all the way around like this, I heard there's a way that you can go to the back and then somehow get like up and around and pick this way. I've not been able to figure out how you can return the disc. So basically, if I mess up, I have to restart. I think it's my 3rd take this video, so yeah. Again, you got false gate, true gate, then nothing. On this one, what's this one? Luckily they're numbered, so if I mess up, it ain't going to be too bad. Again, you see these false gates. They're relatively deep, but luckily they're not anywhere near as deep as these true gates. So yeah, hard. Don't get me wrong, but not insurmountable. Again, all these false gates, and then last but not least, disc 1. Which is very, very close. So when it's there, you only need to move it like that much, and it goes into the true gate. If you go over that, you've got false gates. I mean, not that they matter, because it's, like I said, very hard to return this. I think if I'd made like a 2-in-1 tool, I might try to figure out a way to return it. Otherwise, I'm just like, do you know what? I'm just going to try to feel for those true gates as you hear click, click. And then it kind of like doesn't want to move a bit further, because the true gates are relatively deep, so you can sort of feel it. Although, like most lockpickers will say, once you pick a lock enough, you develop this muscle memory. So it's that there's a little bit of doubt that sets in about, am I really feeling for the true gates and false gates, or am I just memorizing the lock? And the fact is that it's hard to tell. But nevertheless, picking this was a real challenge, and it's really cool. So that's the well, it says on the front somewhere, doesn't it? There you go. That's a Rosengrens 32A81S safety deposit lock. There you go. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, leave a like. If you want to see more locks like this, please subscribe. And of course, I'll see you all next time.